All right, here we go. This is Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson. Yeah, we're rocking it out, baby. We are rocking it out, and we're about to have a real conversation, an open conversation with two of my very dear friends. They're both nutritionists, both coaches. They're helping people on a regular basis. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. Let's go ahead and close this off. And there they are. All right. Okay, so I'm playing, I'm having some fun with the new technology here. So let's bring that to a close. Number one, I just want to say hello, you guys, and welcome, and thank you for spending some time with me.
Yeah. Hello, Robert. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody can hear everybody, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to move some things around. So before we dive in, or actually, let me just say up front, if any of you are catching us for the first time, I want to say thank you for being here. I also want to encourage you to go to our websites. You can see their websites there, and you can look at the links that are below. But go to our YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell so that whenever we upload information, you are notified. Then you can watch or listen at your convenience. Now, today we are going to share, because we all care, information about cholesterol and statins. We're going to dive into it because there's a lot of questions out there, and I am gearing up to do a seminar called Cholesterol Truths. But a lot of those truths that I'm going to be touching on and going real deep in and making sure you have access to the studies and all of the citations will be made available. But we'll have some fun with it today and answer some questions if you have them. And before we go there, let me get these two to introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Susy, if you don't mind. Can you do an introduction? Tell people who you are, how can they contact you, and why do we care?
Why do we care, right?
Why do we care?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We're trying to just get people, to get healthier. And we do this through the Diet Free Life methodology, which I'm certified to teach in. I have been coaching for a couple of years. I actually started off as a client and I saw results. I lost over 50 pounds. And then I just fell in love with this method. And so I got certified to coach. And here I am. I'm trying to help one person at a time reach their goals, whether that's weight loss or just improve overall health. And we're doing it through this. So I'm just excited to be here. Thank you, Robert, for having me here. And I get to kind of co-host with another amazing coach, Amy Prine. She's been doing this much longer than I have. She's much more experienced, and I'm just grateful to be in the room with you guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Susy. So, Amy, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amy Prine. Thank you, Susy, for the kind words. You're also a very amazing coach. You're doing great. So, yes, I've been a diet-free life coach right around the 15 years. It's just an amazing methodology. We eat normal, regular, healthy foods, foods of your choice. I also, like Susy, am not only helping people lose weight, but helping their overall health, metabolic health, which we can talk about that later too. I'm also a certified personal trainer, so I'm helping people as far as their fitness levels, which I feel definitely goes right along with the nutrition. I feel like it all goes together. So I'm here willing to help people. I also work with people individually, and I also do a lot of group coaching too. So wonderful methodology. And I'm like Susy too. Thank you, Robert, for having me on your show.
All right. Well, thank you, Amy. And this is impromptu, you guys. So for those who are catching us live or you're catching a replay, so I want to let you know that we all decided to jump on and do this with little notice. We just, I said, hey, can you do it? Hey, can you do it? Hey, let's jump on. Now, update. Let's do a quick update, and then we'll kind of dive in and talk about some of the things that I believe people will want to hear. For me, today I had a coach call with one of my clients. He's 91 years old. Okay, 91. And he's on an insulin pump. He's, I think, third phase, like liver failure or kidney failure. He would like to lose some weight, but he's injecting insulin, which makes it a little bit more difficult. And there's quite a few other things that are challenging him with his health, but he's got an amazing attitude. And I took him on as a client because someone was doing our 8-week fat loss challenge. and they had success with the methodology. And then they were listening to one of these talks, and they decided, you know what? I think my dad would want to learn about this. So I had some slots available in one of my programs where I coach people. They reached out. We had a great conversation. He's like, "Have you ever worked with someone this old?" And when you're working with someone, regardless of the age, the Diet for Life methodology works for that person. So, and it works for his conditions. So we had our first call today. He's down 5 pounds. Can you believe that?
Wow.
His blood sugar levels are like really getting down low, so low that he got a warning. So that means that the way he's eating, he's optimizing his blood sugar levels in a big way. It's giving him a renewed sense of hope. His wife is fully on board. She's cooking the meals, and I introduced them to how to make a vegan style fat burning meal, and they are running with it, you guys.
That's
Running with
awesome.
it. Yeah, I mean, like, so I'm pretty pumped. So that's the thing that got me really pumped today. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be an asset to this man and his wife, and he's going to be a success. He's already a success story. So I wanted to share that because he's in a situation where most doctors will say there's not much we can do for you, and one of his big goals is not to be on dialysis. And so if you catch certain things, like if someone can urinate regularly and you introduce them to nutrition, they could avoid dialysis. If they don't make those kind of changes, it's inevitable they'll be on dialysis. And once you go on dialysis, the clock starts ticking as far as how many years you got left. And number two, what's the quality of the rest of your life going to look like? So that's my share. You guys have one you want to share?
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
working with a. Oh, go ahead, Susie.
yeah.
Susie, go
I
ahead.
recently started working with some older gentlemen. Actually, I have been able to work with my dad closely for the last few years, and we've completely, made a 180 turn on his health. He started off as pre-diabetic, on statins, on high blood pressure medications, different medications, and he's completely off of everything at this point. And he has even had his doctor reverse his diagnoses from hypertension to nothing. He doesn't have that on his chart anymore. So anyway, I was very excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't, you're just now, this is the first time I'm hearing this. This is great.
Yes. This is all within the last couple of months. But I've shared with you all before that my dad is a big supporter of mine. He's been kind of, kind of like where I run and try things on, try some different things on. So he's been great. But really, I was so excited about what we were able to accomplish that I posted something on our Facebook group. And it just seemed like within that amount of time from posting, I just started to acquire a couple of older gentlemen as clients, and they're doing great. So one of the things that just happened recently, I was sharing with Robert, is that one of my clients, he's 72, and he's got a lot of things to work on, but he had a scheduled angioplasty earlier this week, and they went in and they didn't find anything wrong. Now, can I take full credit for him, starting his changing up his habits, the way he's been eating for the last month and a half? Can I take some credit? I don't know, but it is possible that within a short amount of time, things could have improved to the point where there was no needed procedure to be done. So I'm really excited for that. And again, earlier, like I was sharing, I'm just happy to be able to make a difference in one person at a time, even if that's all that I have right now, because we're really here because we care. We want to help people get healthier.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Susie.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, exciting.
All right, Amy, you have a share for us today?
Yes, I do. I'm working with a couple. They're both in their 70s, and they have lost weight. Roughly, I think the husband has lost 10 or 11 pounds, and then the wife has lost around 7. But the amazing thing is their metabolic health. The man has gotten off statins and his blood pressure medicine, and he's also type 2 diabetic, and his his fasting blood glucose is way down now. He's lowered his insulin intake. So he's doing very well. The amazing thing too is we teach about body composition. So when they seem like I only lost 7 pounds so far since I think they started in May, but the fat in pounds that they have lost. So as we all know, it's not what the scale says, it's when we do the calculations. So even though the wife has lost only 7 pounds, she's lost like 13 of them is fat that she's lost and then gained more LVM. So both of them have definitely improved their overall health, and they're losing weight, body fat, and gaining lean body muscle mass. So that's just wonderful.
Wow.
Also working with a diabetic, type 1, and she has been in and out of the hospital numerous times. So due to the methodology changing her eating habits, she's actually been staying out of the hospital. So that's fantastic news too. So I'm very proud that I am a coach of Diet Free Life and being able to reach out or people reach out to me, and I'm able to help people.
All right. Well, so you guys want to have some fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
So I want to let's talk about cholesterol.
All right.
So, and in order to understand cholesterol and statins and why statins are so popular, it helps to understand from whence all of this comes, right? So it's like, how did we get to this place? And I was talking to Amy and earlier today, and I was like, let's just do a quick chat. I'll see if Susie's available, because tomorrow we have a coach call, and Susy and I are gonna like kind of go through the curriculum for the coaches and for our new coaches. I was sharing with Amy that like in 1910, we don't have any record of anybody with a heart attack. And I believe the first time that it's been documented in the United States was like 1912, 1921. I have it in my course that's very clear. But I believe 1912. And after 1912, you started to see the increase of more and more people having heart attacks. Cardiovascular disease became a real thing. And by the time we got to the 1950s, President Eisenhower had a heart attack while he was in office, and it freaked everybody out. And since they started keeping track of numbers and started seeing more and more people having heart attacks, it almost became a scare, like a pandemic, right? Like, what's going on? What's causing this? And it was this man named Ancel Keys, who was very loud, very strong, very confident. He was able to get in touch with Eisenhower and the doctor who was looking over him, became good friends with that doctor, and they established the hypothesis that the reason people are having more and more heart attacks is because of plaque buildup in our arteries. And they were saying that it was because we're eating too much cholesterol and we're eating too much saturated fat. And that is the cause for this constant increase of heart disease. So that was in the 1950s. Okay, any questions at this point?
No.
Okay, if anybody has any questions out there, feel free to bring it up. So one thing to keep in mind, and I'll point this out, in 1911, trans fats, which are now illegal, were introduced to our food supply through a company called Procter & Gamble. And the first big product was Crisco. And at first, people weren't using Crisco as much, but they started to take on. And all I can tell you is that as Crisco, trans fats, increased in consumption, we started to see more and more heart disease. So there's definitely a correlation. And in the 50s, the number one consumed seed oil was soybean oil, and it is to this day. And as it continues to increase, we see more and more heart disease. Now, there are some studies that are pretty clear that they believe that trans fats, as well as, well, we know what trans fats and seed oils are part of the causation for increased cardiovascular risk, heart attack and stroke. Okay, so did I confuse anybody? Are we good?
Mhm.
We're good.
Okay, so in the 50s, they were like, okay, we got to cut back on the cholesterol. We got to cut back on the consumption of saturated fat. So it became demonized. And they needed some studies to support this because there was really no studies. So Ansel Keys did like a 22 country study. He went out there, and then we were in a place where we could do a study locally right here in the United States. And they did it in Minnesota, where they took, for 5 years, they took people who lived in nursing homes and VA hospitals, because those people, they didn't have the option to go to a grocery store. They ate what was given to them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So in this 5-year study, they had one group, which is randomized, which is ideal. And you can't do these studies anymore because it's illegal to do these studies. It's unethical. But at the time, they were still doing these kind of studies. So with the randomized study, they had one group continue to eat their meals that had saturated fat and cholesterol. Then the other group, they didn't have saturated fat or cholesterol. They replaced the fat with trans fats and seed oils, like vegetable oils. And the goal of the original study was to demonstrate that if you cut back on the saturated fat, you will live longer. You guys with me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. This is a lot of information because, a lot of people, if you don't know the background, then it can be confusing. But this is all information for the buildup.
Right.
Well, at the end of the 5-year study, what they noticed was the LDL cholesterol, which they had felt was one of the signs you want to look at, had gone down. And if the LDL was elevated, then that was a bad thing. If it had gone down, then that means you reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. It gone down 14%. And they felt that was significant enough that, all right, it proves if you eat less saturated fat and cholesterol and you replace that fat with these seed oils, then the LDL cholesterol is going to go down. We did it. Now, by the time this happened, Ansel Keys had finished his study. He felt he had cherry picked it in a way, which I'm not going to go into details. But Senator McGovern, during the time, they came up with these dietary goals in 1977. And that was like the precursor to the 1980 food pyramid that basically said saturated fat, keep it to a minimum. Don't eat more than 300 milligrams of cholesterol. They're bad for you. They cause heart disease. That's how all of that came about. You guys with me?
Mhm.
Yes.
There was no real evidence to support it, except for that LDL drop. Fast forward, over 10 years goes by. The guy who did that Minnesota study finally publishes a bigger part of his paper. But it only talked about what we had already known about. And then shortly after that, he dies. Fast forward more years, 7, 8 years ago, a researcher from the National Institute of Health, he decides to go and see if he could find that original study. Well, the guy had died, but he found his son who was working at the Mayo Clinic. He became a doctor. The son got all of the tapes and all of the reports. They went through the studies, and this is what they found. And everybody is up in the air on why this never was published. They found that they never really published the study because when the LDL cholesterol went down, you had over a 20% increase in mortality. It never got published. It got suppressed. It got hidden because it didn't line up with the narrative.
You said 30% increase
I
in
said
mortality?
I think it was 22% increase of mortality. Now remember, they said it was significant when you dropped the LDLs by 14%.
Yeah.
But the study never proved that you live longer by having lower cholesterol. You actually died sooner if you have lower cholesterol.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. It's interesting.
And there's another study that they did over in Sydney that demonstrated the negatives of seed oils. And then there's a study I've talked about, what they did in the Republic of China, that it clearly demonstrates that seed oils are negative. However, if you go to the American Heart Association right now, if you go to the American Diabetes Association right now, they endorse and encourage people to consume seed oils from flawed, no scientific evidence. Now, all of what I just shared, this is not conspiracy. This is all open to the public. Freedom of Information Act. This is all just legit. Just most physicians, most people like us, just aren't aware of this.
Right.
And we're still like, there's people still walking around right now who believe that if you eat cholesterol, it will cause your cholesterol levels to go up.
Yes.
There are people who are hearing me right now, hearing it for the first time, and they're like, yeah, well, it does. No, it doesn't. Well, where's your proof? The government came out, the American Heart Association also came out in 2015, and they admitted that eating cholesterol plays no role on your cholesterol serum, your serum cholesterol levels. None. So every doctor that says, well, you know, you want to cut back on the egg yolks, they are misinformed. They have no idea that things have changed, and that even the government has come out and acknowledged and says, yeah, we kind of made a mistake on that for well over 50 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
Quietly too, right? No one really made a big deal about it.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. So that's number one. So
yeah.
So remember, the original hypothesis with Ansel Keys was saturated fat and eating cholesterol leans toward heart disease. Now we know that cholesterol doesn't. And even before Ansel Keys died, he admitted in paper, I have all the quotes, I'm going to show it in my seminar I'm going to do. He said, cholesterol was really not a problem. Dude, the world stopped eating eggs because you said that was a problem.
All right. Yeah.
But before he died, he admitted that. And they still were like, well, you know, you're going to watch your saturated fat.
And that was a long time that everybody cut out eggs.
And there's people still cutting out eggs because they are misinformed. Right? So they're either misinformed, or some people are just uninformed and they just go by whatever somebody recommends.
Exactly.
Oh, it's about to get real heavy here in a second. Okay. Any questions from anyone out there before we go into statins and we go a little deeper dive? I'm being respectful to the time, but we're going to do a little deeper dive, and people are going to be blown away with what I'm going to share. But with what I have shared with you guys, what do you think so far? Any questions you think people would want me to answer? Like, are you surprised? I mean, we talk about this stuff all the time anyway, but.
Yeah, I think another one too that I question I get all the time is, what about red meats? What about cutting back on red meats?
Which is be the saturated fat.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
so remember, you know, if you cut back on saturated fat, there's studies that prove that that's not the case. Saturated fat is not the problem. The bigger problem is going to be seed oils, I think sugar consumption, and we know trans fatty acids. So let's go there just for a second with trans fats.
Okay.
Because this one blows my mind, and I want you to, as coaches, to really get this, because it'll help you in a lot of situations. You know how when we were talking about look at your multivitamin, and if you see DL alpha tocopherol, then that's synthetic, and we know that there's an association between that ingredient and cancer, various cancers. So a lot of our clients start going through their supplements, and if they see DL dash alpha tocopherol, they're like, oh man, I got to get rid of this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wouldn't it make you go like, okay, well, Robert, if it causes cancer, if it's linked to cancer, why is it still in so many supplements? So that would make a lot of people go, I don't know if Robert's right on that, because why the government, I mean, they wouldn't just let something just stay in. Like, so many people are taking multivitamins. Women got like all these multivitamins. People are encouraging all of these supplements. And you look at the ingredient, there it is, DL alpha tocopherol. How can it still be in that, knowing that it has a negative impact on our health? What do you guys got to say about that?
Well, from what we know, the supplement industry is not very regulated. So there's a lot of things I'm sure are falling through the cracks that they're just not getting to. They're not reviewing products. They're not taking a deeper look at what's in there.
Yeah, but if it was causing cancer, my point is, enough people would say, hey, how do we get, I mean, the FDA, they're aware of it. They got smart people.
Right.
So why is it still in so many supplements? I'm going to give you guys the answer, but you want to take a wild guess, or like you want me just to get to it?
Well, my mind went to what you just talked about with the cholesterol. That was all kept in that, forgot his name already. Ansel Keys. You know, how that was, his study was hidden for so long. Is that the case for this too? That they're just making it public?
No, it's a little different than that. Okay. And that's why I wanted to like take a moment and really go here. So here's the deal. Trans fats were introduced to the food supply in 1911. Trans fats were being consumed like it was in everything. Crackers, like, I mean, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
In 1995, I got introduced to trans fats. 1998, 99, I'm going to seminars. I'm telling my clients, hey, this is what you want to look for. You don't want to eat trans fats. Well, Robert, if it's that bad and it causes heart disease and it brings down your HDLs, why would it still be in the food supply? I'm telling you what I know. And there's some studies out there that they're like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. Same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling people are looking at me like I'm crazy. And this is all, I have it documented. There's magazines where I'm talking about it in the late 90s, early, my first book in 2001. I'm telling people, watch the trans fats. Trans fats are bad. Avoid trans fats. Fast forward. There's a doctor named Dr. Kumar. I call him Dr. K. This guy's in his 90s. But back when they were talking about the hypothesis of what causes heart disease, saturated fat, and cholesterol, and they were like, we should remove the saturated fat and replace it with these oils. Dr. K was like, nah, I don't think that makes sense. This is like 1960. This guy's a scientist. He's like, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. They're like, sit over there. Everybody went with Ansel Keys and went forward with it. So Dr. K's in his 90s, and he's like, you know what? It's 2013. Screw it. I'm going to sue the FDA.
Okay.
So this old man, retired scientist, watching trans fats be in all the food supply for all these years, decided, I'm going to sue the FDA. He sued them in 2013. He won in 2015. And the FDA had to remove trans fats from all of the food by 2018. That was just 5 years ago. Then Harvard got behind it, right? Harvard, Walter Willett got behind it and says, yeah, we got to remove the trans fats. And they all agree conservatively that at least 50,000 people died prematurely every year because of the consumption of trans fats. So if you go back to just the 60s, when he said the trans fats were bad, you're talking about over 3 million people died prematurely.
Wow.
Because of something that was in the food supply that everybody was like, well, it can't be that bad, Robert. Blah, 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 blah. Well, I was right. Yeah. And you may have a relative that died prematurely because they were eating trans fats. The same thing is going on with some of the medications we're taking, and same in the supplements. And if DL alpha tocopherol is still in the supplement, who's going to sue them? I don't have the money to sue them. I don't have the energy or time. When Dr. K, like, he's in his 90s, he's retired, he's only got so many years to live. He's like, I'm gonna sue these guys.
Yeah.
That's how you get stuff out of the products and the foods we eat. Other than that, you better be informed, or otherwise you're consuming things that are shortening your life. That is a fact, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to stay in the food supply and people are going to continue to eat it, and it's going to be there until someone does a petition, someone puts some energy and some money into it, someone has the balls to actually sue the FDA before it gets their attention, and then change happens.
And that's really sad that there has to be a
Yeah.
lawsuit to get things to change.
So that's why that story about trans fats, you guys must know that, because that's your evidence, or something that's happened already before that you can like cite. And this is the process you have to go through. So there's people right now consuming supplements, consuming ingredients that is not helping their life. I'm saying it. This guy that I'm working with that I mentioned, he's got a whole bunch of challenges. How would he know unless he had a coach, one of us that's in his life, to like help him choose and guide him on how to eat to maximize his life?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's the chances of him? What are the chances?
Right.
There's a lot of people out there. You guys they're winging it. They're winging it. They're taking a chance, and they're gonna stay on statins because you got someone like their doctor saying, "Oh no, you want to stay on statins. Oh no, you want to stay under blood pressure medication. Oh no, you want." So unless they have someone that's their advocate, someone who's championing them, that's helping them, like, oh no, we're getting off of these meds. And then you got people going, no, well, I think I can do it on my own. Okay, let's see how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah.
I had a rant moment.
No, yeah, but it's not even just about cutting your life short, but what about the quality of life? Because I'm getting to the age where it's like, I don't like the days that I am low energy. And so I start to look, okay, what have I been doing? Have I been eating? How's my sleep been? How's my stress level? So it's like, I can only imagine how it is for people that just, they're not educated. They don't have anybody, like you're saying, in their corner to support them, to teach them. It's like, what kind of quality of life are you living? So
exactly. And then you wonder how long, like your client, Robert, this 90-some-year-old man, how long has he been taking those supplements?
Hey,
things like that. It's very, very sad.
Okay, so now you guys, are we ready to go into the statins? Are we ready to go deep?
Let's go deep.
Okay, so Sherry Hargis, she's amazing. Sherry's a coach. I met Sherry years ago. She says they need to revise some of the college programs and nutrition training at the supplement stores. Yep, that's true. And Sherry knows a lot about supplements. She's been in stores, and we have another coach, Claudia, has a wealth. She's a new coach, but she's been working in like some of the top level like nutrition supplement stores for years, and they both bring a lot to the table. So it's going to be great to do a talk with them because of their experience. They know what people are buying and what people are looking for and what people are like fooled about. You know what I mean?
That'd be great.
So that'll be fun. Okay. So let's go to this whole thing about statins. So remember, 1977, they create the dietary goals. 1980, they now have the food pyramid, and saturated fat is demonized and eating cholesterol is bad. So then the question is, well, are there any pills we can take that can bring our cholesterol down? Or is there anything in place? Well, this company called Merck. You guys ever heard of Merck?
Yes, they're a big manufacturer, right?
That's
for
right.
Vaccines.
They were one of the first. They were the first to get into the statin world, and their first one I think was called Lovastatin, and they started doing trials in 1980. Oh, the food pyramid comes out in 1980. Oh, they started doing trials in 1980, and the problem is cholesterol. Oh, interesting. So they're doing trials with the goal of having a drug that will lower cholesterol. 1987, the first statin is approved. 7 years later, 1987. Okay. Now, in 1985, the National Cholesterol Education Program was established. So they brought together some people that are going to tell us what would be healthy cholesterol. 1985. 1988, the first panel comes together. Well, Merck just came out with a statin in 1987. 1988, there's a group of people that come together and they come out and say, if your cholesterol is over 240 total, then that's bad. You need to get on this new drug from Merck. Are you guys following me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there just happened to be people on that panel that work with the pharmaceutical company. That's interesting. So 1980, 1988, the first panel's established. The first guidelines come out the same year. People are on statins. And then at the same time, the Vaccine Act of 1988 comes out the same year. That basically sets everything up to where you cannot sue a pharmaceutical company if you have a side effect. They can't be sued. If I grow a limb, if my ear falls off, if I take this drug thinking it's going to help me, there's no recourse? No.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Now, remember, so the drug is designed to bring down the HDL, which has been demonized with flawed information. And people who become a nurse, people who become a doctor, they're indoctrinated, right? Everything they're learning as they become a doctor is based on the science that was never the science when it comes to cholesterol and saturated fat, which we now know that cholesterol was not a problem, but there are doctors who spent their whole 30 years telling every patient, if you eat cholesterol, quit eating those eggs, cut back on that shrimp. They were indoctrinated. And the part that blows my mind is that when I was learning about chemistry, like, because I've believed this for many, many, many years, as far as knowing that cholesterol is not a problem. And it was based on the fact that the liver, our liver, regulates cholesterol. And we know in studies that if you eat little cholesterol, your liver will produce more cholesterol because every cell in your body is benefiting and needs cholesterol. We need cholesterol to be alive and to function and to optimize. When you don't eat much cholesterol, your body produces more cholesterol. So the liver is regulating everything. And some of these statins are blocking the liver from doing what it does. Same as metformin. So how is that good? And it's flawed information because we know that if you lower your LDLs, you're more likely to die. Help me, you guys. What's your thoughts so far before I bring it on?
Well, I didn't know that. You want to go ahead? Go ahead, Amy. Oh,
what you said right there was very informative, and I'm going to be honest, I did not know that. I did not know that statins block the liver from producing cholesterol, so I did not know that. So,
not all statins.
Not all statins. Okay.
Yes, some statins. Yes.
Okay. So I feel it's very, very sad that that's happening.
Yeah, I didn't know that the FDA couldn't be sued. It's the FDA, right? That you said that can't be sued.
No, the pharmaceutical companies cannot be sued.
Cannot be sued. This was since the early 90s.
Ronald Reagan signed this into act, and like for instance, if you like through the pandemic, if you have a negative effect based on taking a vaccine,
right?
There's no recourse. You ain't suing Pfizer. You are not suing anybody.
I knew that, and not to get into the whole COVID, experience, but that was one of the things I took into account into analyzing what I needed to do for myself when I learned that. But I didn't know it went back as early as the 90s. That's wow. That's crazy.
Well, when you look at, like, when I do my seminar on cholesterol truth, and you look at the timeline, it's like obvious, right? So if in 1988 they have the first panel that tells you that cholesterol over 240 is bad, right? And 5 years later, they decided to change the guidelines. So in 1993, they took the guidelines from bad cholesterol was over 240. They brought it down to 200. Why do you think they did that, Susie?
So they can qualify more people to take that drug.
Yep. More
More
medication.
people. That's right.
Yeah.
More people would qualify for the drug. So that's 1993. Now, other companies are seeing this happening, and this company comes out with this product called Lipitor. Ever heard of that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Lipitor is no longer sold because of the damage it was causing. But when Lipitor came out, it's still to this day is the number one selling pharmaceutical drug of all time.
Wow.
It came out in 1997. The number one drug, because everybody, when they brought the numbers down to 200, everybody qualified to be on the statin.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe 2001, 2003, they made one other change where they came with this calculator and they said, well, let's say your cholesterol is 190, but you have high blood pressure. Well, because you have a metabolic marker, high blood pressure, and you're close to 200, yep, let's put you on a statin.
Yeah, multiple risk factors.
And that's where we are today. And Lipitor is not being sold, but there's variations and versions of it that's being sold. And as your LDL comes down, you have increased mortality. So one of my dear friends' wife, who's very fit, does fitness shows, eats a variety of food, don't miss carbs, life is great. Her cholesterol, total cholesterol is like 560. Her LDL is 468. Now, when I mentioned that to Amy was like, oh my God. Yet you say, oh my God, because that's based on flawed data.
Right.
They're laughing. We're on the phone the other day. They're laughing.
Yeah.
She don't give 2 cents about 468. Because if yours is 100 and hers 468, the big randomized trials they've done, you're dying before her.
Yeah.
We've been bamboozled, you guys. We've been hoodwinked.
So, Robert, question: how did Lipitor get off of the market, not being sold? What happened there?
Well, because of the side effects, it started creating more harm than good. And that's what happens with a lot of drugs. So they'll just modify the drug and come out with another name until it gets bad press and there's more side effects. Then that'll come off the market and then they'll come out with another one.
Okay. But no lawsuits can happen.
No, you can't know. Because you're supposed to be informed. You're supposed to be informed.
Oh, is that where the loophole is?
Well, it's not a loophole because every physician, with the root meaning of the word physician meaning teacher, every teacher who's a doctor, part of their Hippocratic oath is that they're supposed to do no harm and they're supposed to inform you. But if I got on a call like this with a whole bunch of doctors, they won't be able to tell you when Merck first started talking about creating and doing trials on a statin. They don't even know, most of them, how a statin works. They don't know about the Minnesota coronary study. They're not up to date on what China did as far as demonstrating the negatives of seed oils. You see what I mean? Like, how they're supposed to inform you. And if they're not informing you, then you're just walking around like sheep and you're just going to do what everybody else tells you to do.
Yeah.
Like when Linda, when I interviewed her the other day, you heard her. I was taking blood pressure medication for 15 years. I was taking a statin for 15 years. I was told that I will never, ever get off of those drugs. She's off of those drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for her.
She's off of those drugs. So if you have someone who is talking crap, we are food as medicine. We're showing people how to eat regular food, foods they enjoy, not only to lose weight, but to get off meds. If someone's listening to us have a conversation and they have high blood pressure and they're taking a medication, some of those people just have given up in life and they're going to just take the med because they don't even want to see the truth, right? It's like one of my clients' boyfriend, he heard her talk about when I was talking about the best oil to use to cook with based on what it tastes like is extra virgin olive oil. And he was like, I don't believe that. And he got caught up in the smoke temperature.
Mhm.
And I said, part of the smoke temperature is marketing ploy to get you to buy refined oils because they will naturally have a higher smoke temperature, but the process of these oils are carcinogenic and cause inflammation and all these negatives.
Mhm.
So then I sent her 3 studies, toxicology reports, not just in the US, but abroad, that clearly state the best oil, edible oil, the highest smoke temperature, the best one is extra virgin olive oil. He
Right.
still, even though he saw the data,
It won't change.
he'd rather be right.
Then healthy.
Exactly. Because when people bet their money on the horse, when they bet on what they believe is real, they don't change. They just stick to it. And they just stay the course and they don't want to hear anything else. I'm blocking everything else out because I don't want to know anything other than what I believe is the truth. I'm sticking to what I think is the truth. And some of these people that we know, they're going to develop dementia, Alzheimer's. They're going to have like major challenges. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier on a post on Facebook. I was sharing with Amy. When people are taking statins, we know according to the CDC, and there's other company other studies that are coming out and some trials being taken, that if you're taking a statin, you're going to see your glucose levels go up. And if you live long enough, you're going to become a type 2 diabetic if you're not already. And if it's not that, you're going to have kidney problems and you're going to be looking at dialysis eventually.
That would be more than enough to scare me.
And people are just on the statins walking around like, do. Life is good. No, life ain't good.
Yeah.
So every client I'm working with, I'm on a mission to get them off all of their meds.
Yes.
That's the truth. So there you go.
It's a great mission.
Hate me or love me.
I'm on the same mission. I agree. I'm on the same mission.
Yes.
So.
And like with Lipitor, like one of the things I'm looking at right now in my notes, like Lipitor was demonstrated that it raised blood sugar. And this is why it was taken off the market, Amy.
Okay.
It damaged the liver to include jaundice, hepatitis, of course, fatty changes to the liver.
So how long before they actually see those things happen? Is there any known data on that?
I don't have any data on that.
Be interesting to know.
I mean, why you're if once we know those people they're dead. They're not even thinking about anything. When you're looking for a liver transplant or you're dealing with dialysis, you're not on Facebook talking about what you wish you had done.
No.
So we don't get to hear from those people.
Too late.
Anyone who's on Facebook that's part of like our dialogue and they get to hear us talk, or on YouTube, they have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They could change it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people, their ego will block them from doing it. A lot of them, they will just suppress it and not want to deal with it until it gets really bad. And then they're walking around going, shit, I should have done something. And then it's progressed so far, there's not really much they can do. They just got to go through it. And then you don't see them on Facebook anymore. You don't see them like out there championing, saying, hey, you guys, man, I remember hearing Robert and Amy and Susy talk about this. Man, I wish I should have reached out to one of them. Yeah. But we're not here to beat you up. I mean, hey, We love you, and we'll see you on the other side.
Mhm.
You know, and then some people wake up. Like I had a client, I don't know, I think it was yesterday or someone I coached a while back. And it's funny, she's really sweet. And she called me and she emailed me and I said, "Can you get on the phone?" She goes, "So Robert, I'll never forget that day." And I said, "What day?" She says, "Well, I told you that, I enjoy the coaching and I learned a lot, but I'm gonna stop." And I was like, "Okay. Yeah, I remember that day." She goes, "Yeah, but you said you didn't think I was ready." And I was like, "Nah, I got this." Right. And so when you go that route and you've experienced something really positive, it doesn't take long for you to go, "Huh, I think I should have kept doing it." I think Robert, and she said she heard my voice in her head like nonstop.
Mhm.
And she says, "Would I take her back?" And I didn't even have a slot for her, but I took her back because somebody else will give up and it'll work out. But I took her back, and now we're gonna rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I
Plan.
mean, we've talked about a whole bunch of things, you guys. This is like overload for some people. They're like, "Oh, wait, this too much." But we got 8 minutes. So anything else you guys want to talk about? Anybody have any questions? Please put them out there and share this video with other people. Tell them, yeah, just fast forward 15 minutes because we talked about ourselves the first 15 minutes.
I would like to know how statins do work.
Well, you can Google, they're different. Like some statins work just a little, some work different. Like there's one statin I was looking at this morning when one of my clients is taking, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I think it starts with a B. But what it does is it blocks the liver, as I mentioned earlier, from producing cholesterol.
Cholesterol.
Okay, think about that. It blocks the liver from doing what it naturally is designed to do. That is never a good thing long term.
Right.
That's never a good thing. So you have a drug that's blocking your liver from regulating your cholesterol, just so you can have a lower number on the lab work. People better wake up. And to put it out there, I've had some of my clients where I say, "Hey, look, I'll be available. I'll get on the phone. You can call me in. It's like a your lifeline. Just call me in." But one of the things that I am working on, and I'm gonna talk about this in our coach training, is our white paper once it's done. And basically what that is kind of substantiates everything that we do and recommend. But I'm working on a 1 and a 2 sheet that you can give to your clients, right? And then if they meet someone who's interested, that 1 or 2 sheet is designed for them to go, "Oh man, I want to learn more about this." Or they can just give it to their doctor, right? So when you haven't seen your doctor in 6 months and you go back in and you're down, 50 pounds, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're down 50 pounds. What are you doing?" Here, boom. Like give them something that helps them quickly see it. And then that doctor goes, "Oh, this is interesting." And then have it set up to where they can find out more information, maybe with a Q card or a Q code or something like that. That's the next step, because then we can start getting more referrals from physicians and endocrinologists.
That would be great.
That sounds good.
Yeah, then you don't got to talk. You just give here.
Right.
I mean, I'm not here to debate. I'm just telling you what we've done,
Mhm.
right? So if
Right.
you look at my clients that for 2022, if 9 out of 10 people who are type 2 diabetic, after 15 months, 12 to 15 months, they're no longer diabetic, that's significant.
Mhm. Very.
Yes.
If 8 out of 10 people who take blood pressure medication are no longer taking blood pressure medication, that's significant.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's huge.
So I know you can hear me. My camera died. I'll be right back.
Like he's frozen.
It's you and me, Susie.
I know. How's the weather out there in good old Darlington?
It's my kind of weather. It's like 99 degrees today.
Oh,
The heat index is like 114. But I also share that I do not have to work out in it. So if I'm out in it, it's usually for fun or something that I want to do. So I do sympathize for people that have to work in it because I'm sure it is brutal. So
yeah. We've had some crazy weather lately out here. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard the supposed hurricane.
Mudslides and
It
lots
was
of
just a
rain.
bad. Well, in my area, it was just a bad rainstorm. It wasn't. It
Good.
wasn't that bad.
I'm glad you're both safe.
Yeah.
Robert's back.
I'm
Robert's back.
All right, so we have 5 minutes. Anyone who's catching us, you have any questions? We've talked a lot about cholesterol. We talked about how we got to where we are. We talked about saturated fat. We talked about things that people just aren't aware of, but now they're aware of. We talked about statins. We haven't really talked about how we get people off of them, but we do. So I would encourage people, they can reach out to either one of you, reach out to me, and we can like get them on a program and put them in a position where they can win.
I guess I would like to add, find a doctor, physician that will really listen to you. I have a doctor that's phenomenal. And I actually, probably 10, 15 years ago, took the methodology and had her look at it. She was very, very impressed. And any questions I have, she definitely talks. So I really recommend that. Find a doctor that you have faith in that will really listen to you.
Yes.
Well, there you have it, people. There you have it. Okay, last words, Susy. You want to share anything last before we say goodbye?
Well, I mean, just excited for everything that's happening. I like to say the Diet Free Life headquarters because you're always coming up with new ways to help people engage and to inform us, to educate us. So you did mention that you're going to be making a course available, Food as Medicine. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're not. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I'm just excited, like I said earlier, to be here, to be able to be on this call, be amongst people who have the same common mission, which is to help people get healthier. So you can reach out to me if maybe you saw anything in me that maybe me and you would work well together. If not, reach out to Amy, reach out to Robert. We're all here to help. That's what we want to do. So.
Okay, so someone asked a question. I don't know who it is. They're in the private group. Can you explain how lowering HDL is harmful? Well, you don't want to lower your HDL. We do know that across the board, having elevated HDL is ideal. You don't want to lower your HDL. Now, some of the things that you can do to increase your HDL would be to eat. I know the way that we teach people to eat. Believe it or not, eating protein, even having steak can help increase HDL. Exercise is one of the easiest ways to increase HDL. But just learning how to eat, right? And eating foods in the right combinations, the way we teach, then that will help a person increase their HDL.
Right.
Okay. Amy?
Yes.
Any final words? The cat got your tongue?
You just said Amy. Yes. Yeah, I hope people that are watching this reach out to somebody if they really care about their health and just eating. It is such an easy program. Like I said, I've been doing Diet Free Life. What year was it, Robert, that I met you out in Chicago? And I've been doing the methodology ever since. So there's no restrictions at all. I can go out and about and people are like, you eat that. And I'm like, yeah, there's absolutely no restrictions. So anybody that has questions, reach out to any of us. And plus, like, there's always other coaches too. Get on the website. Yeah, we're here to help.
All right, you got it. Okay, that's right. So, Amy, just remind us, when you first started the methodology, how much weight did you lose back then?
It was like 35 pounds.
Okay, and you've kept it off for 14 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Give or take that wonderful, 3-5 pounds, but get it right back. And I have people say, do you fall off the wagon? Well, we're all human. I mean, yeah, we do. But you get, like you taught me from the very beginning, one meal at a time, one meal at a time. So if you go overboard, or some people are the opposite, you go under, you just forget about it. It's behind you. It's done and over. You don't worry about it, and you move forward. You move on to the next snack or the next meal. So it's a very, very easy program. I always like to tell people that come to me and they just kind of want like an orientation on what we do. I always like to first thing to say is, first of all, there's no products to buy. We're eating food, food that you want. People can come. I could go to someone's house for Thanksgiving dinner, and there's no restrictions. So, no pills, no supplements. It's food, and that's what I really, really enjoy the most. And that's why I chose the diet-free life methodology at the time. Back there in the day, it was the food lovers. So, yeah, I guess I'm one to talk. I've been doing it for so long that it's wonderful. I can't say enough on how wonderful it is. So, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you both. Next time we have this conversation, we have to talk about different diets and what our
Mhm.
what our experience has been, whether we did it personally or what your clients have shared with you.
Mhm.
Um, and what makes me think about that is I have a new client I'm working with who is doing Octavia, which is they eat every 2 to 3 hours, mostly packaged foods. And man, that's a tough diet. And this lady who I'm coaching, she's so happy because she's eating real food. She hadn't had fruit in over a year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she was stagnant with her weight loss.
Yeah.
And as soon as she quit that program, the whoever like sign you up or you report to, I think they all get a coach. That coach saw that she quit, hadn't heard from her in months. And of course she reaches out. Hey, what's going on? Hey, I saw you. What's going on? Hey, where you going? Because it's about money.
Mhm.
And I don't know how she got out of it, but she got out of it in her first week. And this doesn't happen for everybody, but she literally lost 8 pounds and she's eating food she hasn't eaten in years.
Wow.
Isn't that
So,
amazing?
Yeah.
yep,
That's amazing.
yep. So, all right. We good, you guys?
We're good.
Good.
Oh,
Thank
let me
you
see.
very much.
Someone asked a question, say, or LDL. Can't remember which one you said.
I
I'm
think
not
that was the same person that was talking
Yeah.
about the HDL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like because when LDL goes down, that's the goal of all physicians, all the drugs.
Yeah.
But we also learn in this time together that there's an increased rate of
Mortality.
mortality when LDLs were lower, and that information just got suppressed and wasn't shared with the public. So
So what we want to look at is triglycerides.
triglycerides way more than almost anything.
Right.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
all right.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for making time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
All right. So we'll do this again sooner than later.
Sounds
Yes.
good.
All right.
Bye, Amy.
Bye.
Take
Thank you. Bye,
care.